What is good, YouTube? Welcome into Atlas Thugged. There is so much going on right now. There's so much news, so much different content media all being just dumped right now. It's the beginning of the new year. And I'm just going to try to take you piece by piece, little bit by little bit, because we need to make sure we're not losing focus on what needs to be paying attention to. As you can see, this tweet that I have pulled up here is making that point. The Epstein deposition, or I guess I should say the Maxwell deposition being released the way that it is, all of the names that are coming out, all the people who are being mentioned, I mean, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. I mean, there's multiple spaces being put up on X right now. But let's take it one bit at a time, okay? So I have this tweet pulled up here. I have no idea what this account is, but they exemplified the point of this video very well, or why I made this video. All right, well, everyone is talking about Epstein and 8 to 10 foot creatures in Miami. I'm here to remind you of what dropped and is occurring recently at the same time. Number one, Trump lays out the entire report of swing states voting irregularities that are completely unreconcilable. If you want to look this up, you're probably going to have to make a Truth Social account. I tried searching simply through the web and it was nearly impossible. So I, forgive me, I bit the bullet and made a Truth Social account in which I found, of course, there's an ad. Oh, why is there an ad? Okay, well, let's just get rid of that. So I found the document, and Donald Trump releases this. It's a summary of election fraud from 2020. And the states that are mentioned is Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Michigan. Now, I have not read through this. I'll probably parcel through this later on. But again, like a huge piece of news that's just, I've not heard about it once except for that mere mention on a tweet that I got. So something to keep track of there. If you go back to what he was saying, the second point, forgive me, my bad. Ray Epps included all internal documents of why the FBI did not investigate. And again, something else, I'm like, why? So there's more information on Ray Epps. And then, yeah, from Greg Price, it's from like a day ago, breaking the DOJ is recommending just 6 months in jail for Ray Epps, the only J6 defendant caught on camera telling people to go into the Capitol building. So meanwhile, this dude who is on video numerous times screaming at the top of his lungs, for people to go into the Capitol, you have people who weren't even there serving 20 years, and then you have journalists like Owen Schroyer serving time for speaking about it, or in being at a verified rally as a press person with the press pass. Now, if you look here real quick, I don't want to go too heavy into this, but you can see right here, this is a unique case in the context of January 6th defendants. Although Epps engaged in felonious conduct during the riot on January 6th, his case includes a variety of distinctive and compelling mitigating factors, which led to the government to exercise its prosecutorial discretion and offers Epps a pre-indictment misdemeanor plea resolution. Specifically, Epps turned himself into the FBI 2 days after the riot, on January 8th, 2021. It just reads anyone who's stayed with the narrative along surrounding Ray Epps just reads this and vomits in their mouth. Specifically, when you look at the degrees, the variations between how every single other person has been treated throughout this entire ordeal versus the very open and clear depiction of what Ray Epps was doing, and then the inaction that's followed it until now, obviously. And then to get a misdemeanor after having all this evidence put forward is just like, and then even admitting that he was in contact with the FBI 2 days afterwards, and then it took this long for anything to happen, it's like, no one's buying that. So, and then to move on to the third point here, which I'm just taking him at his word for it, I didn't look it up. Law firm representing Burisma has lawyered up and registered under FARA, which means they are nervous. R.E., the impeachment inquiry. And for those who aren't familiar, Burisma is the energy company that Hunter Biden was serving on the board for, hence all of the corruption and the Ukraine involvement on Joe Biden's side. Forgive me. Number 4, which again, another thing that I had not seen at all, and I followed this guy, secret migrant center in Phoenix exposed by James O'Keefe. And then lo and behold, I find on his page that he's released another video. He's pinned it even. Secret migrant center exposed part 1. And so this is in Phoenix, and I'm going to react to this. I'm going to react to this actually right after I make this video because this seems very, very interesting. No mention of it. I haven't seen it on my timeline once. I've only seen about 110 different posts about Miami aliens and all the Epstein stuff, which the Epstein stuff I understand. The Miami alien stuff is like, okay, now to me it's a clear insertion of a large story that will break people's attention away from all the other incidents that are happening, obviously with all the rest being political. And if you go back in his final mention here is is Elon Musk and Chris Pavlovsky and all the other state attorney generals who are going against Media Matters, between all the advertisements, the advertising and all the threats they've made against free speech, everything that they've done to try to kind of corral X into behaving the way it wants to, along with all of the other attacks, including like Trump and other individuals and bodies like that as such too. So with that point being made, let me go back here to my bookmarks. So specifically with the Miami Mall aliens, let's go to this post here. This is from DC Drano. So are we not going to be told the truth about why Miami had possibly the biggest police response I've ever seen in my life? They're saying it was for teenagers fighting. What really happened? And so I've looked into it from what I've seen on X, on Twitter as well. Let me turn this sound down. This police response, I gotta be honest, when you see it from the helicopter view, it does seem absurd for the reasoning they're giving it. Now, I'm gonna play this real quick. Obviously, you don't see much here, but, as it's doing the turnaround here, a line of cops. I mean, many, multiple. All the way down the street. And then you can see as it zooms up here, as it pulls up here. I mean, tremendous. And so the story apparently is that this response was due to kids setting fireworks off and then fighting with sticks. No, I'm not joking with you. That was the actual response. I wonder to see if there's any better view of it here. Always just a bunch of people. I mean, and even say a bunch, it looks like there's less people there than there are cops. I just don't know how you get that many cops in one area that quickly, that fast. So supposedly it happened on January 1st, and it's making its rounds today, because that video is just so unnatural, just something that people don't see very often. And following this, there's a viral tweet that was making the rounds as well. Now, obviously, the community notes hit it up too, saying that they were at the Miami Mall yesterday, the government's lying, and it's an all caps thread, essentially describing things and saying the government's lying. And this caught wind, obviously, because people are so quick to believe things because they're so quick to distrust the government. And this stuff is all hand in hand. What I will say so far, because I did actually go to the news where it's supposedly debunked, there's really not much here. So it gives testimony from one of the officers and what he saw. But the video, all the videos that they released, none of this video actually correlates to the video I've seen on X. So obviously, you can see police response here, right? And then I think maybe towards the end here, you'll see like here, like this looks like it was in the same region. And who might I know? I'm not familiar with Miami. But this is the only video that was apparently released of the fight. Okay. Now again, it doesn't seem like it's that many people deserving of such an insane response. Now, what people have said is, all the footage that we get of this alien is this grainy, 140p recorded with potato footage. And I hear you. I don't really believe it either. But on the other hand, what people have pointed out is, where's the other videos? If there was this many teenagers supposedly fighting with sticks and doing this stuff, I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, people record their best friend getting, murdered by a giraffe for views. If that so happens to be, people record everything. And what's crazy about this is even in this little video that they show, one of the guys is like recording. He's on his phone. If I can see this, like right here, I believe this guy in frame has his phone. And it just begs the question, where are all these other videos of the actual in-person one? Not from a dash cam, not in these 140p's, like someone who is literally like admits the brawl. I would have to imagine we would see those, and maybe they'll come in a few days later. So maybe it's not aliens, but I personally don't believe it's fighting either. Maybe something much more sinister happened there, and they're trying to keep it down. It could be something it could be kids fighting, but maybe it was the level of the kids fighting is being downplayed. And who's to know? But this is just to hone in, and then This is supposedly the footage of this 8 to 10 foot creature here. Again, let me make sure I kill the volume here. I'll put it into full screen as well. So right there in the middle, they're going to kind of cut the top of the camera view away to kind of put it down here. There's no really good footage here. And it's just by relativity that you can see this figure, this form, is obviously like about a quarter the size of a cop car, but clearly bigger than the humans who are here. And all of this unnaturalness, unnerving, is enough to send people into a frenzy. But it's also enough to send people down random conspiracy rabbit holes that aren't rooted in anything real, aren't rooted in anything political, aren't rooted in anything that's consequential to anybody's life. It's just kind of nice and cool. And it's fun to have a nice thrill with aliens. And I'm not going to put any conviction on that because with how this country's moving, I mean, who am I to say that those weren't demons that rose out of the ground, right? Like making their appearance to kind of reap what we've sowed here in such a degenerate culture and nation. And that's besides the point. This tweet says it very well and very concisely. They want us to believe they sent 100 plus police cars, 200 plus officers for not even 20 people fighting. I haven't been able to verify much with this at all with how little information there is. But there's been reports of the power was out for a certain period of time, that the airport was shut down. Some people contending that report with that the airport was active. It was just the flights weren't happening. And then, large power outage. Some people estimating that 60-some thousand people were out of power. Nothing that I can verify, all reports that I've simply seen on X. So don't take my word for it. But that's the frivolous vapidness of this. So much happening at once. No one can verify anything. People arguing with very little to go off of. And that brings me to the main point, which is the Epstein files. Now, maybe the alien story is meant to actually not deter you from reading Trump's election fraud summary, but I'm more inclined to believe that the alien, this story surging, happening, days after, because supposedly it happened on January 1st, and now it's all catching wind, a couple of days later, timing itself with the Epstein dump, with all the deposition files being released. It just seems fishy. I mean, it's hard not to. And it's more believable to think that they would do that to divvy attention away from the Epstein list not the list. I keep saying the list. It's not the list. The deposition documents being released, because so many names are involved here that they're just trying to save face in some form or not. I want to get to the bottom of this here because I want to start with one of the first ones. And what I will say specifically now, before I get much further into the video, I should have said this at the beginning. If you are on X and you're on these platforms, start getting involved in these spaces. Start listening to these spaces. The majority of all of this information that's coming hot and flying out with the Epstein stuff has been in these spaces. Specifically, Mario Nafal, who you see, who I'm hovered over right now. He has been putting out the majority of it, co-hosting these spaces with like Nick Sortor, and what you can see here on this fourth one, which I don't think you joined on the previous ones, but Alex Jones is here discussing what's being released. So if you want, I'm not ever going to be a top of the top file analysis guy, but I can give cultural commentary because I believe I'm pretty good at it. When it comes to the actual breakdown of a lot of this hard-hitting information for people who have been in the know for a long period of time, that's why I'm saying I'm pointing to these spaces. Like, I recommend you listen to these. This is probably the fourth or fifth one, and they're hours long of analysis, of going through the names, what they can take from it, their commentary on it. And it's just really enlightening stuff. So my bigger point is, don't get caught up in the Miami stuff. Pay attention to the real demons who are here wearing human skin. And there's just a lot with it. And there's a lot of names involved. And this was like the first batch of these names here. The big names that were mentioned in the Epstein documents, former Israel Prime Minister Ehud Barak, Prince Andrew, George Lucas, Donald Trump, Alan Dershowitz, Naomi Campbell, Al Gore, Alan Dershowitz again, Kevin Spacey, Tom Pritzker, Les Wexner, Governor Bill Richardson, Jean-Luc Brunel. I believe Jean-Luc Brunel is one of the cases where they believe he did not kill himself, similar to Epstein. Alan Dershowitz, Harvard professor, Al Gore, everybody knows who he is. Kevin Spacey, same thing. The two things I will point out though, George Lucas and Donald Trump, I believe both of those were mentioned, but in non-nefarious, so they're essentially exonerated. I believe in the deposition. Don't quote me on George Lucas, but for Donald Trump, I know for a fact that his were about, that he had just said somebody had met the guy, but never went to the island. So a lot of Trump's involvement with Epstein was being exonerated based on how the questions were being answered. Now, will that change in the coming times? Like possibly, but I highly feel that if Trump was actually one of the people who belonged on the client list, who was on the client list, the media would have destroyed him over that fact a long time ago. I mean, what's the point of having blackmail on somebody if you're not going to use it? With all these new releases coming out now. So, give me, it was yesterday or 2 days ago. It was 2 days ago was when the big drop happened. That was kind of unexpected, that nobody really saw coming. And then you come and bring it to today, and it's just been another drop, and I think we're on the fourth dump now, third or fourth dump of more files. And a lot of the information is actually still furthering on the initial list of names, but now, um, Hillary Clinton has been named, and so all in all, you get a bunch of new names being dropped with this new group, like Epstein Files Changer number 2. This one's naming Sarah Ferguson, Robert Kennedy Jr., Frederick Fakai. I saw Chris Tucker, Hillary Clinton. I mean, the way this is moving is so much of this is getting dumped so quickly that for me, myself personally, like I'm just gonna have to just start absorbing as much as I can. That's what I've been trying to do today, reading through this, sifting through this. But I guess I wanted this video to be more of a make sure you're paying attention to the right stuff, because there's so much happening right now, and don't get caught up in the Miami Mall incident. You need to make sure you're paying hard attention to the Epstein files, because this stuff needs to be, I mean, these people need punished to the fullest extent of the law. These things need to be carried to the highest court that will hear them out, and cases need to start coming down. And I think a lot of this is just like a big shock factor, because we've been talking about it, whisper, whisper, whisper here for years. And now the last couple of years has been a lot out in the open. And to now sit here and have like a lot of these names hard confirmed in their dealings. Now, obviously investigations need to happen beyond this, because not a lot of this is entirely damning of the individuals, but it's enough circumstantial evidence to be like, investigation. This is what we need to be pushing for. So main point of this video is make sure you're paying attention to the right stuff. I'd love to give you a better analysis, but like I said, there's so much of it. I needed myself to look through this, but I want to make sure I put out a video so people were paying attention. I know a lot of you aren't on the X platform entirely or solely. I am. I'm actually going to probably start making use of spaces myself to get a lot of long form content out, because it's easier to just do audio and get information out compared to like comparing it to the video. But I know a lot of people prefer the video, so something I have to work out. It's just something easy for me to just be talking to a mic for an hour, specifically if I'm just reading through news, compared to editing a video and making sure everything looks pretty and good for you guys. But I enjoy doing both, and I prefer YouTube anyways. But if there's money to be had on X, I might start making a lot more moves on there. I have been uploading some of my order videos to there as well, some of the TikTok stuff too. Just kind of putting my entire persona on spaces, on X, forgive me. I appreciate you watching. Like I said, I'm going to follow up. I'm going to start hashing through this information. I will follow this up with me reacting to the James O'Keefe video with the Migrant Center, because I imagine I'm going to laugh and be disappointed, sad, frustrated, all the same. And if you guys want to join me and see that too, you know where to see it. So I appreciate you watching. Stay blessed. Peace.